All right, 6 o'clock. Call the meeting in order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call whenever you're ready, please, Anne Marie.
Anne Marie Anderson here, Courtney Kneifel here, Eric Ryan.
Here.
Jill Geske here, Brock Wright.
Here.
Joe Sanfilippo.
Here.
Deb Burnett. Brad Saransky. Ashley Goodman Mason. John Goodman.
Here.
Megan Johnston. Emily Sorensen.
All right, public notices, music compliance Wisconsin statutes, chapter 1984 is posted at the elementary, middle, and high schools, as well as the post office and Unity Bank. At this point, looking for an approval of the agenda, please.
Second.
Roll call vote whenever ready, please.
Ryan.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Anderson, yes. Geske.
Yes.
Kneifel, yes.
Next meeting dates, December 19th, January 16th, February 20th, then the annual meeting we got out there for September 25th, all at 6 p.m. So if there's any issues with any of those, you can just let us know. That'd be perfect. Student highlights, I'm guessing.
Today actually our student highlights. John's gonna take that part of it because the student highlights are actually here, but he's playing basketball right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
go ahead, John. I'll let you.
Yeah, so Nathan Kurtz went through it, and he's been designing in our Fab Lab that we have, or Steam Lab. He kind of made some of these. He also, in his Cricut manufacturing, went through, so he made one for all the board members. But what they're doing is using our laser in that space, and I think he ended up put on Facebook. He's got 60, 70 of them that he's
Just
producing
minded.
right now. Yeah, he said the business is a little bit overwhelming. He didn't think it was going to be that many. Doing a great job. He's kind of learning as he rolls through this that if you don't wet down these mats, they catch on fire. So the laser, so there's been some
Fire?
learning going on in there. Fire extinguisher, no. So he's doing a nice job. He's leading the way in there. Dakota Amchek's another individual. We have this launch class that's in there, but we have 3D printers going, vinyl, the lasers. It's a really neat space if you get a chance to stop in with all the kids that are doing the different activities. We have a big robotic arm that's coming. Mr. Steinke wrote a workforce development grant that's on a ship somewhere, should be here. He said hopefully the end of January, early February. We have another robotic arm that they're doing in math class. They're designing a chessboard, a programmable chessboard in Mr. Campla's room. So there's really a lot of our core classroom teachers are really taking a lot of the tools that we have in place here now and letting the kids implement them and design. I mean, we had someone building a guitar and you name it. It's really neat to see the excitement from that. But they decided to come up with a little present here. Now all the stuff, and I think what's kind of neat in that Fab Lab, a lot of the dollars are from our CT incentive grant that we're able to get every year. So our youth apprenticeship, all of our Microsoft Office certificates, our EMT certificates, our Certiport. So when our students get a particular skill and they earn credentials, we're able to submit for the workforce development grant, and we get up to $1,000 per certificate when they graduate. So if a kid gets a certificate as a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, we're able to claim that, and we're typically $15,000 to $20,000 a year when that rolls through. So we're able to get lasers. We have 3 lasers. We have 4 or 5 3D printers, and I chuckled. I was just in there. They weren't working. They're taking the weekend off. Otherwise, I think they've ran steady from the beginning of the school year. I'm just buying filament, and they're really going. So a lot of excitement. Like Nathan doing an outstanding job with this, and I'm sure he could give you a few more problems that he's experienced with that. But they're doing it on, they're printed on leather, they're trying all kinds of things. So it's neat to see, applications, that maybe we're thinking about, and the kids have a different idea and the way they go, so. Any questions from that standpoint?
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool stuff, so.
That's great. And like I said, he's playing right now. He was being here talking about it, so we were hoping that he could come and talk, but he's, probably posting somebody up right now, so. So we appreciate it.
So thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Just saying, if you need another one that maybe has a couple burn marks in, I just happened to see a couple of other ones that, didn't meet the quality control to come in here, but they are around. So if you need one in the garage that maybe, maybe has a, maybe it's just not quite
Little
right.
score challenge.
There's a couple there
Little
that,
character.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
right.
if we're, after we're done, if he's out, have him come in and give us a wave if he's willing to post it. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So much, I appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to the general public address of the board. Anybody has anything? This would be the time.
No. I'll say that, I don't know if I can see
Yeah,
it. The
yes.
only, reason that we're here is because our daughter is in Fall Creek, so she's in first grade. And most recently, one of the bigger things is that her hair got cut at school. She has like hair probably down to here. And she got a chunk up here cut to about here by another kid in class. And we've had a few issues with this kid, but I think what it boils down to is not enough help for the teacher with this kid. So, my only concern in the future, anything would be more resources in the, maybe not special education, but a step below that, but above just general, behavioral issues. Maybe it's something a little more, but they're not fully needing, I don't know the right word, we had special education classes. I went to Cadet, and then we had another classroom that it was called LD, where they were just learning disabilities, but maybe they struggled in class and it was a safe place for them to go. But that's why we're here.
Sure.
So.
Can I get your name real quick?
I was just gonna
Jaleesa.
say, no, I was just gonna ask for your two.
Jaleesa.
Jaleesa.
Yep. My daughter is Audette Schultz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Esther.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Move on to the consent agenda, which includes minutes of the regular board meeting held October 17th, minutes of executive session also held October 17th, financial statements dated October 2022, approval of monthly receipts and checks, student activity account receipts and checks, and consideration of a guardian transportation contract. At this point, we're looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as reported, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call vote whenever ready, please.
Ray?
Yes.
Anderson, yes. Geske?
Yes.
Kneifel? Yes. Ryan?
Yes.
Great. On to board committee meeting reports, starting with community relations.
So our community relations committee is going to be meeting with the village board, hopefully in December at this point. And Anne Marie and Courtney and I will serve on that as part of that conversation with a couple members from the village board, specifically having continuing conversations about any future development that we started, in September? In September. So when we have an opportunity, we did not meet on the 17th. So when we do get a chance to have that meeting, we'll bring that back to the board. I would assume that we'll bring that back to the board in January. Let's plan on January. Yeah.
Great. On to administrative reports and board action.
So if you take a look at page 27 to 37 in the budget review, Debbie gave us, and I had asked our staff, our administrative team, because of the short agenda too, that they were okay not being here this evening. And so what Debbie wanted to convey was that everything is on pace. There were a couple highlighted areas on page 27 to 30, or 27 of your board booklet, just to give you a quick update on pages 27 and 28 on some things that were highlighted that may be trending a little bit differently than normal. The non-capital sales is just a little bit below where we were last year. The revenue from other state sources, you can see a larger number in that number on 10R69, and that's because of the sparsity aid one-time payment that we received So that's why that number looks a little bit higher than the year-to-date from last year. Same thing in 78 because of the governor's one-time money that was allotted to schools. And that's why those two pieces are in there. Those are a little bit different. But still, we still have a balanced budget. We're not concerned about that at all. We're just trending a little bit forward in that regard. On the other piece of it, with insurance and support services, you can see that they're trending a little bit above where we had been in the past. And again, those are one-time dollars that we lump sum payments that we put in, and we paid those out early as opposed to waiting to the end of the year to pay that. And an example would be making sure that like the tech and security stuff that sometimes we wait till the end of the year to see what's available that we can put into the building. We took care of the tech and security up front this year, so we weren't waiting for the end of the year. So that's why those numbers are trending a little bit farther along percentage-wise than they did in 21-22. But those are really the only updates from Deb.
Questions?
Any other specific questions we can ask, she can take care of in December too.
Perfect. Any other questions at this point? No? If not, on to consideration of the RW Baird contract.
So on page 38, 39, you'll see the RW Baird contract for Debbie Services through RW Baird. We had a contract with RW Baird through December, not knowing what the next step was going to be in terms of the services that are provided through there that Debbie takes care of. We want to continue to work with Baird for the remainder of the year and then have a discussion as to what the next steps are. But this is essentially the second half of the year at the same rate that last year was and half of this year would be. So we just want to continue her contract throughout the remainder of the year.
All right. If there are no questions, we're looking for a motion to approve the Baird contract as presented, please.
Make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second
Jill.
Second it.
Okay. Roll call vote, whenever you're ready, please.
Geske,
Yes.
Kneifel,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Anderson, yes.
And on to discussion, consideration of adding an aide position.
So one of the things that we've been trying to figure out is making sure that we have coverage for kids in all areas if we can. And one of the things that we were approached by CVTC in terms of one of their paraprofessional intern programs. And we're really interested in being part of this program for a couple reasons. One is that it allows us to have essentially a set applicant pool for positions that we would have. They're one-year positions, so we don't know. So we have a person for what could it be up to a year. We'd like to start it this year, just in the second semester, and then revisit with CVTC to see if it's something that we want to do long-term. But we want to be able to post a position and hire it through the CVTC program that would start in January and provide more help specifically at the lower levels in the elementary school. And the other reason is we want to make sure that we can continue to service students that need the help that we certainly need at that level. And we don't know exactly where that's coming from. So the reason that it's here is it is an additional position, and we're treating it as we treated the intern teaching position years ago when we brought the intern teaching position to you. It needs to be approved before we go out and post it. So if this is approved by the board tonight, we will post as soon as we come back and hopefully have somebody in place in the month of January, earlier in January. They're supposed to start late January, but we can make we could ask them if they would be willing to start earlier. So we'd like to start them early if we could.
Is it a paid position?
It is a paid position. Yeah, so it gives us a set candidate pool, which is something that I think that we like, that they would run it through their program and come out to us, and we have not established the rate that they would be paid at, but they would be very similar to where we're at. I mean, we would put them right on one of our steps, to be really honest, if we were, if you're asking today, but I can't guarantee that at this point, but that's where we would, comparatively speaking, we talked to Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls, and they're in the same situation. So we'd put them on our scale and just have them move forward. again, this is for the remainder of the year, then we determine whether or not it would be a continuing position.
Do you have funding for it?
We do for the year. That's
Okay.
one of the issues that I think we're gonna have moving forward, is that, you know, those ESSER dollars are essentially closing down here. So we can get through the year, and then make a determination after that. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Any questions? All right, if not, looking for motion to approve adding a part-time aide position.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call vote whenever ready, please, Anne Marie.
Kneifel?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Anderson, yes. Geske?
Yes.
Right, on the policy and legislation, I believe these are all
All second
second readings,
readings, yep.
so.
And I've received nothing, no feedback at this point. So essentially, if you take a look at page 40, we're asking to remove that policy of the school census because we no longer do that
Yep.
as part of what we do.
So looking for a motion to approve removing board policy 412, please.
Make that motion?
I'll second.
Roll call vote whenever ready, please, Anne Marie.
Ryan?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Anderson, yes. Geske?
Yes.
Kneifel?
Yes.
Right, on to consideration of rising board policy administrative rule exhibits 411.3.
And this was emailed to the board last month and have received no additional information on this at this point. No changes.
Just looking for a motion to revise it as presented, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote whenever ready, please, Anne Marie.
Wright?
Yes.
Anderson, yes. Geske?
Yes.
Kneifel?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
All right, on to the revision of board policy 534.
Same thing there, we just want to make sure that there's availability to, if people want to work a quarter of a day, we'd be able to pay them for that, right?
So this is also as presented.
Also as presented, correct.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote whenever ready, please, Anne Marie.
Anderson, yes. Geske?
Yes.
Kneifel?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes. On to planning, update on the waiver request.
So on Friday, we received the word from the state that our waiver had been accepted. So we are able to plan for school to start prior to September 1st for the 2022-23 school year, or 23-24 school year. So we'll get into the next conversation in number 2, but did want to let you know that we did receive word on Friday that it had been approved. We've been asking, and Teresa had done a great job of continuing to reach out and try to figure out if they were gonna accept the waiver. And as of Friday, they did. We didn't put a calendar in there on purpose because we wanted to give the calendar committee the option to schedule the year, start to the year as they would like. And we wanted to make sure that the waiver was approved before we got into that conversation in December. So we emailed the calendar committee today to see if there's some dates that people could connect and talk about when they would like to start. Now that we know that if we chose to start before September 1st, we would be allowed to do so. So that can take us, if you don't mind, I'll run right into
Yep, go
number 2, please. Take a look at page 42 in your booklet. You'll see the calendar for the 2023-24 school year. And what we're asking the board is just maybe for some suggestions on, or just setting parameters for the 23-24 school year. Essentially, when we brought this to the board in the past, it was relatively easy to say, well, we're going to start on September 1st, and we'd like to allow the committee to make the decision as to when they want to end the school year. And I just want to make sure that when I go to the calendar committee, and our board members go to the calendar committee, that we're not stepping out of turn in terms of what the board is looking for now that the waiver's been approved. So what we're thinking as we take a look at it is, still allowing that committee to make the decision. But when I had originally had the conversation with them, we had started talking about, starting the school year. We're not talking about starting the school year at the beginning of August or even into the first week of August. You know, the second week of August, you know, wasn't a, was a conversation, and the third week of August was the most prevalent conversation with the staff in terms of when staff would come back. So I think as we talk to the committee, I can't imagine having a conversation that would bring staff back before the 14th of August at the very earliest, probably closer to the 21st. And I wanted to make sure that we were okay with that as a board, or if they had any suggestions on start time, if now that we do have the month of August available to us. So anything open to the board at this point. Any thoughts on that?
I think as soon as they're willing to come back and get things rolling, I think that would be perfectly fine. I guess I don't know if anyone sees any issues with that.
Who's on the calendar committee?
Jill and Eric.
You guys? And you meet with all those, you meet with the teachers, right?
Some teachers, yeah.
There's about 6 teachers on the, no, 4 teachers on the committee. Jen, Brad, Trey, Jody Madden, and Julie had been a part of it before, so I don't know if they filled that position. So there's 4 teachers.
And I guess as long as we have the proper input from staff and such.
But one thing that I think that we should keep in mind, and it's specific to the high school, is that if there's a way to end the first semester prior to the break, rather than come back for a week and a half and then that ends the semester, that might be something to think about.
That's a good idea.
So that may back us up. It may actually move PD days for staff members more in the second part of the year than the first part of the year, if they'd be willing to do that. But it's something to consider.
Yeah, I think that helps with momentum, because I know just like the kids that get going and they go to break and then they
Right.
come back and they have to do their whatever midterms,
Yeah.
or whatever they're called,
Right.
and that's stressful.
Right.
So if they could just get it all done before break, that would be really nice.
And essentially, I mean, you're talking about, it would be probably a 2.5 week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a difference. So I mean,
Right.
if we could use some of the PD days and move and push them beyond this into the second half, into 2024, like into January, February, we might be able to get there. But I don't know. We'll have to consider. But if that's okay with the board, at least to have the conversation, then I think it's at least worth the conversation. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the number of days will remain, we keep the number of days that we had this year. We're not looking to reduce the number of days or add to it in terms of where we're at. So I'd like to continue. Okay,
Yep.
does that work?
Those have any
We're good?
further?
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
absolutely. There are no announcements by administration,
Truth.
no announcements by the board. At this point, we're looking for a motion to convene to executive session for chapter 1985, 1 CEF, Wisconsin statutes at approximately 6:23.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
For roll call vote, Mary, please, Anne Marie.
Knife,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Anderson, yes, Geske.
Yes.
All right, we are in closed session.